UCLA Yukon, the national champions in that game. And speaking of move, it is time for the Final Four preview. I can't believe this tournament has come and gone-ish this quickly. We're already at the Final Four. I cannot believe it. I feel like just yesterday we were watching 8 hours of nonstop college basketball, but we are set to the Final Four, and it is South Carolina, Texas, UCLA, and UConn. And they are all set to face off in Tampa. With the addition of Texas and UConn, interestingly, this is the Final Four. South Carolina and the only 3 teams to beat the Gamecocks in the last 2 years. So the other 3 opponents in this Final Four are the only teams to hand South Carolina their L's in the last 2 years. So South Carolina is either going to get their lick back, or they're going to take another L to a team they already lost to. But we're going to look at this matchup here, and that is South Carolina versus Texas. This is the 4th matchup between these 2 teams this season. The first matchup was won by South Carolina by 17 points. Second was a lot closer, Texas by 4 points. Then in the SEC tournament game, South Carolina, once again, double digits, beat Texas by 19 points. Super lopsided when you look at the last 3 matchups between these teams. They were either blowouts or a really close game. So from South Carolina, what you're looking at, what they kind of need to do is their 3-point shot has struggled a bit, and they were just 3 of 8 against Duke, 4 of 15 against Maryland, and they got to clean up those turnovers. We joke about it, but we know Dawn Staley is cursing them out in that locker room to hold on to the basketball. And Alicia, you mentioned it, Texas's defense, nothing to play with. They will make you turn that ball over if you are not securing that basketball. And when we talk about Texas, one thing they need to do is kind of figure out how to maneuver in the paint and stop South Carolina from flourishing in the paint, because that is their bread and butter. And speaking of their defense that you highlighted earlier, force those turnovers, make South Carolina turn that ball over and convert on those turnovers. So looking at how the last 3 matchups have gone, when South Carolina won, double digits. When Texas won, a lot closer of a game. Who are you leaning towards, and what does that game look like to you?
This is so hard. All of these teams really, to be honest, could win the chip in different ways. It's just about how they step up. South Carolina needs to, the depth that they've had all season, right? The depth that they've had from their bench and everything, it needs to be locked in and loaded for this next game, because in the last game especially, it wasn't. And so they need to go back to that form of play where they can call on anyone and they can step up and not take, bad shots and those types of things. They need that from South Carolina moving forward. Also, South Carolina has amazing defense as well. It's going to be one of those games where it's really called by who is playing defense better. And so I'm really excited to watch it, especially after the way that Texas played defense today. They were not letting anything happen on that court. And so, man, this one is hard. I think if South Carolina steps up and plays like the team that they are, instead of just playing and being good, they'll win. But Texas, they kind of, in the ways that they've matched up with them, they've kind of seen what they can and shouldn't do. And it's kind of been a way for them to get ready in the utmost for this game. So I don't know, like it's hard for me to pick who wins this, because I think South Carolina has the talent that should win this game, but it's really going to be about grit and will. And based on what I saw from the 2, I would lean towards Texas.
I'm with you. I'm leaning towards Texas as well. Again, you know how much I love defense, but also I feel like South Carolina hasn't been playing like South Carolina, and I feel like eventually that's going to catch up to them. You can't keep skating by the skin of your teeth and hoping for your opponent to bail you out of a situation you put yourself in. And this is not a knock. South Carolina, phenomenal team. We all know that. We all agree with that. But I think Texas is just as good, and they've been way more consistent. And I think that combination is going to make things a little sticky for South Carolina. And if South Carolina does not play the way that they played the seasons that they have won championships, Texas will absolutely take advantage. And I don't think South Carolina is going to be able to get themselves out of the hole that they'll dig themselves in if they play the way they've been playing. So I'm with you. I'm leaning towards Texas. We're gonna switch now to a game this is my premier game. You were talking about your popcorn game. This is my popcorn game. UCLA versus UConn. Last matchup was in 2023. UCLA won that one. Kiki Rice had 24 points, 11 rebounds, double. What UConn needs to do, you just gotta let Paige cook. Let's be honest. Let Paige cook and let Sarah Strong maybe potentially lock down Lauren Betts if she can. Now, it's gonna not completely solve the UCLA problem. We talked about how deep that they are and how deep they are, how that has gone under the radar, I feel like, by a lot of people. Now you know. I think what UCLA needs to do is utilize their size, dominate in the paint, and hopefully Lauren Betts gets a nice rest, couple of days of rest leading up, because she's going to have to be Lauren Betts that we know she can be, and not the Lauren Betts she was in this last game because she was exhausted. And again, very impressive stat line for someone who's exhausted, but it's not what we're used to seeing from her. This one's a little harder to call. Abby Sports Picks and Analysis says Betts is a handful. Good luck. Respect. This is true. It might be an understatement. This one's a little hard for me to call. I mean, which way are you leaning towards, Alicia? I think my gut wants to say UConn. My gut's telling me don't go against Paige. She's on a heater. But UCLA has a team that I might go Huskies. What are you leaning towards?
I will say I think it is a beautiful thing that we're having such a hard time picking, because that means we're going to have some fantastic basketball coming up.
Yeah.
But last game with Betts out and the team stepping up in the way that they did.
Yes.
And seeing that and them also, this is more important, is them knowing that they can do that, especially at this stage in the season and in the tournament. Betts has to stay out of foul trouble, and she has to literally have her most stellar game. But I am leaning towards UCLA, just seeing the team play that they did, because UConn they are rolling, and I would love to see them advance. This is another one of those ones where I would love to see them advance. But based on the play and the two games that we saw, I am leaning ever so slightly to UCLA.
I'm not mad at that pick. Listen, the Final Four is going down in Tampa. We're going to prematurely pick a champion. Now, I'm going to sidestep it just a tad. I'm going to pick, but not pick quite yet. I will say this, though. The national champion will be the winner of UCLA UConn. The national champions in that game. I know that much. I don't know who yet it's going to be. I'm going to give my finalized prediction once we have that matchup set, but I know this much: the champions in that matchup.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'm not going to say it either, even though Emma really wants us to say it.
I know. Emma's trying to set us up for failure, but I know it's either UConn or it's UCLA. One of those two is a champion.
Yeah, no. And I mean, it's so hard because this year has been so fantastic, and these teams are so amazing for different reasons.
Yeah.
And we're seeing them step up in different ways every single night. But I just feel like that UConn UCLA game is definitely going to produce, like you said, the champion this year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whoever wins that is winning the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's where the champion is. So we'll see.
Did we have any predictions, Emma? Did anybody predict in the comments? I'm just very curious. UConn is the favorite to win. Okay, Chicago Cheetah. Ain't nobody beating UConn, okay?
I'm not mad at. Are you from the Connecticut area?
Nobody's stopping Paige. Now, that's actually just a true statement, regardless of if they win or not. Nobody's stopping Paige. That's true. So,
yeah. I want to see how Barker does versus Strong.
Well, we're definitely about to see it. UConn is winning it. Well, shoot, they calling us a lie over here. They saying UConn about to win the whole thing.
I'm gonna say this though. I think we both agree on that. The winner is in that game.
That's true. We're in the same vein. We're in the same vein. Yes.
I will say though, before we close out, what are you most excited about with this year's Final Four? Besides it being in Tampa, because no shade, but Tampa was the last one. Cleveland. I mean, just say.
That right there in itself is just a post.
I'm just
what
saying.
You just did.
I always think of that viral Cleveland. You ever heard someone say they're going to Cleveland on vacation? Do you like
but
it?
Ashley, really, when you're there, you're in the gym, Ashley. It doesn't matter.
I don't care if I was in an ice cream factory. It's Cleveland. No shade, but it's Cleveland.
Well, I'll tell you,
outside of Tampa.
Yes. Outside of Tampa, I'm excited for a couple of things. One is this is the first time we're going to have a show from we're going to have a show for the first time.
Yes.
From the women's Final Four. So that I'm excited about. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Really excited about that. But I'm just excited to see some great basketball. And if in person, seeing Paige play in this tournament at this time, that's on your bucket list, right? If you're a fan of basketball, period, that's on your bucket list. And then obviously seeing Jordan play in the Final Four, because I have a personal tie. I'm excited about that. Now, as far as like who I think should pull up, everyone should be pull up to the women's Final Four. But I really want to see a lot of the WNBA players pull up. That was fun last year. I'd love to see.
The Yukon Loyals gonna be out there.
Yeah, everybody. That's gonna be stacked for sure.
I would like to see Brady. That's his old stomping grounds. Tampa Bay area, obviously. And he obviously is a part owner of the Aces, so he has a hand in the women's game. So he could be out there maybe recruiting, looking around, doing some things. But I would love to see Brady, like you said, a lot of WNBA players.
Well, Fee, Stewie, hopefully Maya Moore. Why are you doing a thumbs down right now, Ashley?
I think they thumbs down Brady. Maybe that was what they were thumbing. Maybe they're Giants fans. I think it's gonna listen. Tampa's a very cool destination. The weather's gonna be really nice. It's not that far from Miami, so if you want to just go watch a game and then go party in Miami, you can do that. I expect there to be a nice showing of people who are going to make their way. And I think that these four teams, I actually don't know if I think Kevin Durant's out for a week. So, he's a Texas alum. Maybe he'll pull up. He's not playing. He has a week off. Well, not a week off, but he's out with an injury for a week from the Suns. So maybe he can make it out to a game.
What? And he's a huge supporter of, Texas basketball in general, but especially the women. Like he shouts them out all the time. So it'd be great to see him there for sure.
So it would be cool. I think that, again, the destination makes it desirable for a lot of people. Emma said Flavor Flav. We all know Flavor Flav loves women's sports. I expect to see Serena and her husband out there maybe for a game. They actually live in Jupiter, I believe, which is not that far from Tampa. So it'd be an easy ride over for them or fly over. It'd be a little bit of a far drive. But I think we're going to see a lot of cool faces out there. I hope so.
It's going to be a good time for sure. Looking forward to it on all levels. And like I said, make sure that you're subscribed because you need to get all of these alerts for these shows that are coming at you, especially the ones coming from the women's Final Four in Tampa. So be connected, stay connected in all of these ways. And we're going to have a QR code right after the episode that you can scan that will get you directly to everywhere you need to be to connect with us. So listen, if you haven't connected with us, I don't know what you're doing because you don't want to miss any of the We Need to Talk Now presented by AT&T that is coming up at the Women's Final Four in Tampa. So stay tuned because we're coming at you. Subscribe.
The balloons killed me.
That